Lying to my partner became normal. Lying to my wife became completely normal. Small lies, big lies. When I was in the throes of addiction, of acting out of sex addiction and porn addiction, all I did was basically lie all day. Where I had been, what I was doing, why I was distant, why I was not connected to her like I had been at one point, all those things flooding through her mind like, what's really going on here? And she had no idea what was actually going on here. This is absolutely true for most sex addicts. What happens is their behavior becomes so absurd. My behavior became so absurd that all I did was hide it. And that started for me really, really early on. So when I first discovered pornography and I started looking at pornography and I started acting out in that way, and this was before other bigger acting out behaviors came in. When I started doing that, it was like, I wasn't going to tell anybody that I was doing that. It was a dirty little secret that I had. I would steal the magazine from one of my family members and I'd go do my thing with that. I wasn't going to go to my friends or my family or my mom or dad or any girlfriends that I had at the time and tell them that I looked at pornography quite often. It just becomes this secret that we're secretly ashamed of. So what happens is we lie. We're not lying, but then you get caught. And maybe my wife comes home and she finds the porno DVD and I kind of say, oh, it's just a one-time thing, that kind of thing. And you kind of downplay it and you sort of start to lie. But the first lie is really the lie of just having this issue, being concerned about it. I was concerned about the frequency that I did it. I was concerned about how important it was for me. I was concerned about how it made me feel afterwards. I was concerned about how I was using it to sort of numb out and avoid things in my life. And so the first lie was really the lie to myself that this wasn't a problem. I perpetually told myself, after a period of time, I would act out. It started with pornography, then it started with womanizing and lots of different acting out behaviors, infidelity, that kind of thing became really bad. But what would happen is I knew it was a problem, and as an addict, I would promise myself, I go through a ritual and the trance-like state of acting out. I would emerge remorseful, feeling shame and guilt, and I promised myself I'd never do it again. And then of course I would, because at some point in the near future, 2 minutes, 2 weeks, 2 months, I rarely made it to 2 months, usually it was about a couple of days, the obsession would hit me and I would act out again. But after a time, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I hated the way it made me feel. I knew I felt ashamed by the things that I was doing, but I just couldn't stop. But the lie that I told myself is, I'll just do it today or tonight, and then tomorrow I'll get my you-know-what together and I'll be fine. I'll get my shit together and I'll be fine. And the problem is tomorrow never came. Tomorrow would come and that restless, irritable, and discontent would come. The life would hit me, the life issue. What I call the life issue is all the internal reactions to life, the things that I actually acted out over. I would get this sort of restless, irritable, discontent edge, and the only thing I knew to feel better was to go act out, and then I would go do it again. So I persisted in that lie to myself for many, many years, that tomorrow I'll get it together, tomorrow I'll get it together, tomorrow I'll be able to control this thing, and tomorrow never came. What happened over time with my partner, with my wife, is that I would act out, I would lie about it. She knew I was acting out because she would begin to start to catch me doing things. And then I would deny that I did anything. And that's what we call gaslighting. She knew something was going on. She found the receipt. And then she would ask about it. And then I would lie about it and say, no, nothing's going on. And that really messed with her own sense of intuition. So a person who has a gut feeling about something or has some evidence about something, and then somebody else tells them that that's not so, they start not to trust their own intuition and they start to feel crazy. Like that makes a normal person feel crazy. So it was very, very difficult for her. It was abusive in some ways for me to gaslight her in that way because it really messed with her state of mind. And it was just not okay. And so what happens, and I see this online all the time, so what happens is betrayed partners, people that have been horrifically treated by sex addicts like myself, cheating, prostitutes, pornography, lying about it, gaslighting, all that stuff. The partners, they get what they call betrayal trauma. So it's what they realized was what happened with the partners, they started to feel PTSD symptoms, hypervigilance, all the things that came along with PTSD, they started to feel that. And so that's why they call it betrayal trauma. And so what I've seen online is a lot of stuff about narcissism, and which is totally fine. Like, let's be clear, myself included, sex addicts, super high narcissistic traits. It seems completely selfish, We lie about our stuff, almost it's pathological lying. So what happens is the people in our lives, especially our partners, start to wonder if we actually feel bad about the things that we're doing. And so there's a lot of narcissism and a lot of narcissistic traits, but I find very rarely clear narcissistic personality disorder, which is a whole other thing. Here's the reason I'm saying that is what happens with somebody like me, and this is not I'm going to say this, but it doesn't make it okay for the partners and for the people that we hurt. What happens with me is I get into so much pain because of my own behavior, because of this addiction that I've tried to stop over and over and over again. And I keep doing this thing and it progresses and I start doing different behaviors. And every time I'm done acting out, I feel worse. And then I promise myself I'm never going to do it again. The real truth of the matter is that I need the behavior to kind of numb out the pain, the internal reaction that I have to life. And so what happens over time is I'm in so much pain and my behavior is so absurd that the only logical thing in my insane mind, because that's really what it is to lie and promise myself tomorrow I'm going to get better, I'm going to do it differently, and to lie to others, because I have a false belief. We talk about false beliefs a lot in my program in recovery, but I had a false belief that if my wife knew the truth about what I was really doing, it would hurt her. She would be upset, or she would leave me, or she would reject me, that kind of thing. So I thought to myself, I need to lie and just simply get my shit together so that I don't stop doing this. And the truth is, she knew what was going on. I was getting completely sloppy in my addiction and I would get caught, and then it just made everything worse. And so I persisted in those lies to myself that everybody was better if they didn't know the truth. My wife was better off if she didn't know the truth. And that ended up not being true at all. It just made things worse. People in recovery, myself included, we desperately, one, need to get honest with ourselves, and two, get honest with the people that are closest to us, especially our partner, because they're our intimate partners. They're my wives, our spouses, our partners, our intimate partners. So nobody gets more hurt by active sex addiction than they do. So it's really important that we let them know what's going on and the truth of what's going on as part of our addiction recovery, so that they can make healthy choices for themselves. Yes, that means they might leave. Yes, that means it's going to be hard and you're going to have some really difficult conversation. In fact, one of the things that I see in my program is when a guy comes in and gets serious about his recovery, even some of the most desperate issues inside of the relationship, most of the men that work with me in our program, their relationship survives the addiction if he gets sexually sober and gets recovery, and they kind of work on it together. It survives. So the majority of the people that are in active recovery and working on this, their relationships survive it, which is amazing. But yes, the truth is, getting honest with yourself, getting honest with your partner. There's going to be difficult times, and there may be a separation. We call that a therapeutic separation. Sometimes they do actually leave, they do divorce. But here's the thing, if you never get honest about this, you're never going to get sober. That internal reaction to life that necessitates the acting out to feel better, a lot of that has to do with lies to ourselves, false beliefs that we have, lying to others, just being dishonest. All the stuff the internet's saying about sex addicts, right? Narcissists, liars, pathological liar. All true, all traits. By the way, we as addicts have the ability to overcome that, and so that's what we do in our program. Like my program is like, we hit the sex addicts right between the eyes with truth, and they do some writing processes. They get really honest with themselves first so that they can get honest with other people. And then what happens is they start to see the truth about themselves. And that's not to make them feel bad about themselves. It's just to get them honest, to say, wow, not only is this an addiction and a serious issue in my life, not only that, but it's affecting my relationships and my job and my life and my kids and all this stuff. They get really honest about it, but it's killing me inside, and it's perpetuating the addiction long term. That's the consequence. And I'm talking about little lies and I'm talking about big lies. A lie is a lie is a lie. You know, one of the things that I'm most proud of over the past 16 years of recovery is I have not lied to myself or to my partner. I've had little lies that came up that I had to make right. Like sometimes the automatic reaction to be dishonest with myself or with my partner, it comes up and it hits me, and then I go, oh my God, I just did that thing that I used to do. I need to go make that right. Been able to go make that right. But for the most part, I've been very honest with myself, and that's part of ongoing written process that I do, that I learned in recovery, which is what we do with the guys in my program. And then just continually being honest with other people in recovery, and then to the degree that it's good and I've talked about it and it's necessary, I'm honest with my partner about what's going on with me. But the good news is that I'm not acting out sexually, so that's one big thing that I no longer have to lie about. So one thing that makes it a lot easier not to lie and to get better is to not act out sexually, because then you don't have anything to lie about. So anyway, that's kind of my take on lying, and addicts do it, and it's really important in recovery. It doesn't make it okay. If you're a partner listening to this, I am not saying just because he has an addiction, he's going to lie and that makes it okay. It's not okay. He should be called out in it. He should be held accountable for that. And in his own recovery, he should be working on a daily basis to be honest with himself and be honest with you. And that's a primary foundation of recovery. So, hey, if you're listening to this, you're jiving with what I'm talking about here, and you're interested in working with us, you're struggling with active sex addiction, or you're in recovery and you're sexually sober and you're just struggling in general, and this stuff is making sense to you, somewhere around this video down below, there's a link. It'll take you to our website where you can book a call with my recovery advisor. They'd go through your situation, see what's going on, see if it makes sense, see if you have this, see if you actually need something other than trying to do this on your own, right? If you've tried to do this on your own. If it does sound like something we could help you with, we map out what it would look like working together in my 12-week recovery coaching program. Also has some long-term work that we do with people beyond the 12 weeks. And if not, you'll leave that meeting having a recovery plan that you could implement on your own. If you want us to help you with that plan, we'll be happy to do that inside the program. So click the link below, check it out, and we'll talk soon.